preview. What's going to go up more? Bitcoin, altcoins, or both? If you want to know the answers to these pressing questions, and you maybe want a hint as to what like a long-term price target might be in Ethereum, a lot of people are talking about 10,000. Is that realistic? You want to know? Stay tuned. What else is going on out there? Well, we got Algorand, XRP, Hedera, smoking on the upside. Smoking. Why? Well, because it's crypto week coming up. And as we've discussed over and over, the U.S. administration needs a distraction. As a matter of fact, that problem has never been bigger because whatever they've gotten themselves into, it just won't go away. Now, speaking of not going away, there's a new change on how we need to look at people like Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor was not afforded the opportunity to buy Bitcoin on a dip. Most specifically, the people who sell him Bitcoin were not able to get a dip. Therefore, in order to fill Michael Saylor's orders, they had to basically buy at the market. Now, when they did their at the market buy, something happened that was really, really unusual. And this is something that I'm leveraging, my background in TradFi, so I'm going to help you unpack it. It's got a couple levels to it, so stay tuned. Players in equities, right, who are long the Bitcoin ETF, they have a strategy called overwriting. Now, what that means is they buy the Bitcoin ETF, and as Bitcoin slowly rises, doesn't go crazy, they're able to sell upside bets that allow them to collect yield when those time-specific bets expire. So if you want to make a bet that Bitcoin's going to go above 120, right? But you don't think it will, you short those things. And you just collect the money if it doesn't happen. Now, what happens if it does? Like what happens if Bitcoin goes from 109 to 120 on a line? Well, you hear all these Watcher Guru headlines about, we all got stopped out and there's so many levered longs and there's $1 billion in liquidations. Oh, no. Wait a second. It's not just the liquidations being reported in the crypto ecosystem. It's the possible panic buying of Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin futures, or the Bitcoin options that all these characters are short. As a matter of fact, if you look at the way Bitcoin trades, we haven't seen this in quite a while. And this could be because, ready? Somebody out there, their P&L is just coming unraveled. Meaning somebody is either caught short, they don't have enough Bitcoin, or they're caught in this Bitcoin options trade. Now, here's the kicker. So if you stayed around, here it is. Ready? When these guys short these, options bets, they have to buy. Not only do they have to buy, but the higher it goes, the more they have to buy. So it's called a gamma squeeze. And I was helping my guys in Patreon understand this a week ago. That's how I got everybody in VIP and Platinum in on the move. When you have a gamma squeeze, as it's called, the higher it goes, the more people have to buy. And they don't care about charts. They don't care about resistance, right? They just care about covering and eliminating their losses before this gets crazy. And at this point, Bitcoin has already gone crazy. And if it blows through 120 and runs all the stops, right? Because the 120 bets, I bet, is what everybody is short. So if it actually does press through 120, you could have a spurt of panic buying. Now, that's all nice. But meanwhile, back at the altcoin ranch, altcoins are getting fueled by two things. One, the end of suppression, the end of bearishness, the end of all this, Web3 is not going to do anything. As a matter of fact, total altcoin market cap is about to blow through $1 trillion. So you have NVIDIA at $4 trillion. You have Bitcoin at like $3.6 trillion. But you have altcoins, that's everything minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Total 3 on TradingView. Now just approaching $1 trillion. $1 trillion was a lot 5 years ago. Now Uncle Sugar spends $1 trillion every 5 months. And we're saying that Web3 isn't worth that? Web3 is worth a lot. You want to know why? If for no other reason, because you can get liquidity in Web3. I don't know that you can get the liquidity to buy huge amounts of Bitcoin. I don't. You're going to have to start taking over companies. That's where it's at. Because if Bitcoin's got to go up 10 or 15%, right? 10 or 15% in like one chunk in order to fill one Michael Saylor order, that means literally, as this famous short video I did a long time ago, there is no more Bitcoin. But there's plenty of Solana, plenty of XRP, and there's plenty of things you can do on those platforms like stablecoins. Nobody connects Solana to DPIN, but I have in the YouTube member area and in Patreon Platinum over and over and over again. I mean, any crypto analyst with any sense thinks decentralized physical infrastructure is going to be a big thing, which would make Solana a big thing. Now, if you look at what Ethereum could do on the upside, kind of changing subjects, right? People are going to want that Ethereum ETF. And Consensus was recently selling 10,000 ETH to somebody who wanted to do an over-the-counter deal. Please don't doubt in equities their ability to go after things that maybe have a narrative that's turning. They call it a turnaround story. Ethereum is essentially a turnaround story. So where are altcoins going to be if, say, in the fall, ETH blows through the all-time high at like 4,500? Where's it going to be at the end of the year if ETH takes out and goes to like 5,600 or 6,000? Now, you've heard these numbers before. It's not like, oh my God, those are shocking numbers. But where's Algorand going to be? Where's XRP going to be? Solana is currently trading at 160. Where should Solana be trading? Well, you got to go to the Patreon VIP area or the Patreon store to find out. But the thing is, you know the answer in some ways. Massively higher. Massively. Especially considering, this was supposed to be like a wobble zone. Now, let's go to American-made Crypto Week and the Fed. Okay, first of all, hopefully everything is coming through on audio. If it's not, let me know. American-made Crypto Week. They need a win. They need more than one win. They need some shock value. Hopefully, the people advising the Orange Man are telling him that. They need to go big or go home. They need the Genius Act. They need the act that legalizes all of crypto, and the no CBDC angle goes without saying, particularly since what I call this law enforcement issue that was completely botched, or whatever you want to say about it. Right? We don't need any more mistakes when it comes to surveillance, privacy, government intrusion. That's over. And they need to get all three of those things done. And Cynthia Loomis, remember, is going to be on the tape. And I bet RFK will be on the tape too, telling people, hey, we need to do something with Bitcoin. The Orange Man keeps talking about all the money we make doing tariffs. Okay, well, where's that money going, bro? How about putting some into Bitcoin, or at least talking about it? Where's the sovereign wealth fund? Okay, so all these questions need to get answered. They need to get answered, obviously, but they need to start talking it up. They talked it up around the election, and this market went crazy. Now you have reasons for these things to be adopted, like, Bitcoin is needed as a way to lower the value of the dollar organically, right? All these American-made cryptos, these layer ones, are going to need to be involved in the stablecoin trade, which Besant wants up to $4 trillion. And then there's Powell. I've been talking a lot about Powell lately, right? Now, the Orange Man talks about interest rates being 300 basis points too high. You know what? Even though I don't know that we want the president of the United States running the central bank, although anything would be, preferable to this like seemingly inept deep state operative that we have now. But this idea that rates could come down substantially, housing affordability needs to improve, right? And interest rates are just too high. The Fed is paying out interest on deposits from institutional banks. It's like bank welfare. And what happens if capital markets go, you know what? Powell's getting replaced and interest rates are going much, much lower, whether the bond market likes it or not. I mean, it is up to the bond market eventually, but I don't think Powell's demise or a change in how the U.S. does interest rates is factored into this market at all. And this says nothing about the whole real world asset trade, which I'm looking at right now. You have things like, American cryptos like HBAR and Algorand up 2%. Stellar is flying. That's XLM. I did a video using YouTube as a sentiment indicator. I said Stellar in a title. It's like, hey, XRP has a little brother currency. It's called Stellar. Boom, 16,000 views on a channel with 21,000 followers. It was absolutely enormous, right? And you can see kind of a creeping bid in real world assets, and DeFi has never gone down, which means, again, banks are coming in. Now, let's go back to the FOMO in the institutional world. This is getting to the point where if you don't own Bitcoin, you're an idiot, right? You're an absolute idiot if you don't own Bitcoin. And of course, not everyone does, right? Like corporations have been buying spot. Obviously, BlackRock has a huge amount of assets under management in the Bitcoin ETF, which means, people out there are buying that ETF. That's not BlackRock's Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin held on behalf of the people who hold the ETF. But are people underinvested in Bitcoin? Are people underinvested in crypto? Mutual funds and pension funds, which account like pension funds are like $60 trillion. They account for huge amounts of money, huge. And what happens when those guys put like 1% to 2% of their money in Bitcoin? Or what happens if they walk into a meeting and go, okay, well, we missed Bitcoin. What else we got? Well, we got a new Solana ETF. Okay, that's cool. Van Eck wrote a report about Solana. Let's go. Right? What about any of these grayscale products that are out there? Right now, I don't know if they're big enough for pension funds, but they're big enough for retail investors, which is another crowd that is now just waking up to this, right? My old joke that's getting old. No one wanted it at 77K, but at 119, it's much more attractive. Honestly, right? I mean, you got to start asking yourself who in legacy is caught, right? Their short call options, their strategy, even the people who are bullish, isn't working. So the bullish people are hosed, the bearish people are obviously hosed, and the underinvested people have got a problem, which is why ETH could catch up out of nowhere, which is why Solana could catch up out of nowhere. And if they could just produce a catalyst in XRP, can we get an amen for XRP? But you can tell by the way Stellar is trading. I mean, I'm looking at this. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up green candles in a row. Somebody knows something about Stellar. And remember, there is the ISO 20022 coins, XRP, Cardano, which is in the New York Times today, by the way. XRP, Cardano, XDC, Stellar, Algorand, Hedera, and IOTA. And not to mention the fact that there's a whole group of American-made cryptos. Does anybody remember that from back in January? Every YouTube thumbnail had the American flag on it. That's all made in the USA. People. Orange Man has to step up to the podium and goes, yeah, it's crypto's an industry. Yeah, it's an industry. And we want to be number one in that industry. We don't want China to have it. We want to be number one. And we're going to start buying it in the sovereign wealth fund. I mean, this law enforcement issue is such a mess. To me, it feels like Watergate, right? And now, of course, I was, 5 years old when Watergate came out, but it just feels like something that's not going to go away. And if the media finds, the documents, any of that stuff gets leaked, they got problems. So they got to not only come up over the top this week, but they got to trot out the sovereign wealth fund. In other words, this, I don't think, is just like, okay, crypto goes up, sell the fact, okay, we're done. right? I mean, maybe if, Stellar triples, okay, maybe you take profits on that, okay? But this feels like the start of something. Now you're going to say, well, Bill, it feels like the start of the bull market. Okay, but bull markets have themes. Like Gann says this, markets need a reason to go up. They need a reason to go up. Okay, well, here's a reason, right? Traditional markets, traditional finance, equities are absurd. They're absurdly overvalued, right? The AI trade. Why is it that artificial intelligence is only being traded in legacy? I don't understand that, right? There's a whole world that people can discover, and they can discover it quickly. Like, how long did it take for Bitcoin to go from 110 to 120? And how many people got caught off guard, right? I was like, well, Bitcoin's going to stop at 114 and there's going to be a rampaging bid in alts. Now, the crypto ecosystem has got $10,000 in Bitcoin profits, $10,000 extra that can rotate into alts if they get going. And why wouldn't they get going? Can anybody really tell me why the market was down? I know I say this all the time. Why was the market down? I know we had this euphoric high and everybody thought the government was going to moon their bags and everything went down and it went into winter and everyone gave up. Okay, well, now sovereigns are behaving so badly, the deficits, the spending, the political discourse, right? Elon, Powell. I'm like, oh my God, they are going to moon your bags. Matter of fact, they're mooning your bags right now. Now, there's a little side twist. This is being done July 13th, Sunday. Guess what, everybody? When you see these moves on weekends, that is additional evidence that I think hedge funds or speculators are caught. Caught with what? Caught underinvested altcoins. Underinvestment, right? That's a very big thing in legacy, right? Like, how many hedge funds do you think were long Stellar coming into this week or last week? Let me give you a hint. None. How do you know? Because it goes straight up. Like, what kind of price action do you get when there's no seller? Well, we just saw it in Bitcoin. We just saw Bitcoin just absolutely take off and smoke to the upside. How did that happen? Well, you had one buyer, Michael Saylor, and no seller. Now with altcoins, because, you can have the general public, you can have a lot of people on their phone with the green button going, hey, this is all very exciting and I want to FOMO in. And look, Bitcoin's at 100,000, but I can get a Solana for under $200. Well, that could change very rapidly, right? I mean, why isn't Solana at $200? Undoubtedly, there's some reason, and it's probably connected to the same reason that the market was down to begin with. It's not going to continue. This is not going to continue. And I think because of this bear market, that even the people who were super bullish crypto don't believe it. Seriously. I mean, I have some personal evidence that major players threw in the towel on crypto a week and a half ago, 10 days ago. YouTube member livestream. We have a YouTube membership, Patreon, all kinds of stuff in the links down below. My co-host looked at me when this thing was cascading lower and was like, yeah, you got to shop. You got to buy everything 800, 900 on the market cap chart. There are American-made cryptos that we've got in Patreon Platinum. I didn't even know. It's like, oh, wow, it's a privacy play. Oh, wow, look at this deep play. Oh, wow, it's 800 market cap. I mean, there are American-made cryptos that no one's paying attention to. And she's like, yeah, you just want to go shopping. And I'm like, oh, my God, lady, please. I got to talk on TV every day, and this thing goes down. It goes up 2 days. This is the other thing that's messing people up. It'll go down 2 days, and it'll fall apart, right? So every time you buy it when it's up, every time you get hopeful or bullish, it goes down. So now it's going up. It kind of goes up, 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 up. This could go on for weeks. You don't know, right? And it could also go on in waves, because after they get done stopping people out in Bitcoin, which may be on the climactic thrust through 120, right? Because of these legacy stops, you can have a very big takeoff in alts, even if it's a week. And I'm going to hear all this sell the fact about American Crypto Week. Everyone will be disappointed. They won't say the right thing. They won't moon your bags. Okay. That's not the point. The point is is that Uncle Sugar has to actively endorse this. And here's a laugh, the actual administration doesn't like the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve right now is probably more unpopular than Congress. So you're doing like long Bitcoin, short the banks, fight the Fed. You're doing all kinds of stuff. Orange Man's got to get any semblance of his popularity back. I mean, there's videos all over Twitter of people torching their red baseball hats, right? He had to get the crypto bro vote to win the election, and he's got to get the crypto bro vote again. And like I said, this law enforcement issue, this gets worse every day. Now, I don't need to talk about it, and I don't know, it's unfortunate, right, that, justice may not get done over this. Or worse yet, you could have a lot of bad actors involved to the point where they're afraid to talk about whatever information is controversial. And you know what, folks? That brings up crypto. That brings up Bitcoin. That brings up, like, for example, the Tornado Cash trial. Can you believe New York is putting a bunch of computer programmers on trial for writing a decentralized privacy program where it's like a mixer, which, by the way, has been released by, my favorite project over at Aintivirus, where essentially, you run a position through a mixer and that's it. That's it. People can't see your position everywhere. They can't come get it away from you. And if you don't think that they would do that, well, you should think again, right? Crypto is freedom. That's why if they take crypto and wrap it around the American flag this week, I mean, it was ignition for a 3-month rally last time. I remember Bitcoin at 92K with fear greed at like 93. You don't think that can happen again? This hasn't even moved over into altcoins. I mean, I'm just sitting here watching like the giant green candle in XLM, and I think now is probably a good time for anybody who stuck around to go to XRP. Okay, they have Garlinghouse front and center in front of the Senate. This is very bullish XRP. And someone's going to tell me at XRP at $2.84 is overbought when the all-time high is 3 something? I mean, this is like, you do not have to be a technical analysis genius. I don't have to say, well, stay tuned in this report for more information and more charts. Oh, bro, this is monologue stuff. XRP at $3, SUI up 4%. That's since the close an hour ago, right? And we got all the people here, and I want to say hello to everybody, but on these like quick things, they don't give me time to talk and welcome everybody. But James, Tyler, T-Bone, definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, this is important. Make sure you hit the notification button because these short videos don't allow me to do what I do on the regular stream and give everybody advance notice. I'm serious. So if you don't have notifications turned on, you want to hit that bell because what's going on here is serious, right? And then I'm going to check right now to see if they've reopened the meme coin casino because that could also get going. Like I'm looking at WIF. WIF has done nothing. Okay, Bonk has done well because of bonk.fun. Now, what is Bonk? What is WIF? And what is Pepe? Which I'm trying to find right now. What is that? Those are leveraged versions of ETH and Solana. So if the leveraged versions of those coins take off, then the actual coins can take off. And it hasn't happened yet. Like all the bid was in Bonk. And ironically, I think we put a piece out that's in the Solana. It's in the store, the Patreon store. It's 4 months old. It's called the Solana 7. Bonk was on that list. Most of the Solana 7 hasn't done anything. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, well, this is up a lot. No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, my colleague, people go on the YouTube member live stream and they're like, hey, let's pull up a chart. And my colleague looks at it and goes, yeah, that's really interesting. It's going to take out the 2025 high. Next chart. Yeah, that's really interesting. The bigger the base, the higher in the space. It's going to take out the 2024 January high. Right? I mean, why wouldn't it? You actually have a case for crypto. It's like the title's like, Bitcoin has never done this before. JB, Ricky, Steven, what's up? You've never done this before, right? You've never had a real case for crypto. Like you've had FOMO. In 2017, you had, they printed Tether and Moon Bitcoin. 2020, 2021, global central banks printed $14 trillion in 1 month. Literally, they printed 14 trillion total. So venture capitalists built it and the market levitated it. Now, you don't have that kind of liquidity running through the system, but obviously equities are, having a good old time. The general public is wildly overinvested in stocks versus crypto, and crypto has a story. And when altcoins go blowing through 1 trillion, and who knows if big boy Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of these big coins, could be Bitcoin. I don't know, man. I don't know what. That thing's a monster now. Somebody is caught. I'm telling you. Okay, that is a monster. That's at 3.6 trillion. So, if you get some kind of crazy rally in Bitcoin, I don't know, man, they could approach 4 trillion or people could start talking about it. I mean, I never seen anything. Something Bitcoin is going on to just chart nerd it for a second. Something's going on in Bitcoin because, I have this chart program called ALGO. I had resistance there. I'm like, okay, it's going to stop at 112, hang out, and then alts are going to go. And this thing just blew through that. I have never seen any instrument since the 12 months I've had ALGO blow through that type of resistance on a daily chart. Just whoosh. Not gold, not silver, not Nvidia, nothing. Bitcoin did it, and that's how someone is caught. At the same time, you have a case for crypto. People are like, oh, I can't buy this, or stuff's too boring. Like, I don't like Filecoin, or I don't like Arrow. Bitcoin Cash actually led the rally. What's going to happen when people start coming into Coinbase? We talked about 21. We did a video, 21 coins for July. Okay, and then I narrowed it down for the guys in Patreon to the top 4 that we liked. Some of them like Arbitrum, Render. You look at the charts of these things, you're like, oh, it's a bull market. Not if you look at these charts, dude. Avalanche, Hot Layer 1, Jupiter, Solana Dex. I guess we're not trading Solana. I guess Solana's going away. You got to be kidding me, right? There's HBAR and there's Algorand, right? HBAR moved a lot and so did ALGO. They all look like Stellar. They're all vertical, right? Now, what happens, and I haven't brought this up, but what happens if you get favorable tax treatment for American-made cryptos, meaning you can buy them and use them to pay for things without any kind of capital gains tax or some sort of taxation plan around crypto? So you have, big boy Bitcoin leading the charge. You have a case for crypto in terms of Web3, because, if you're not tired of Web 2 and you're not tired of tyrants by now, or not tired of being told the truth, man, I don't know. I can't help you. And then they give you a tax break on crypto on top of it. Do you know how fast they're going to forget about whatever list if you get Solana pushing through 200? The orange man's long ETH. He's got 8% of his net worth in this. Avalanche is on the books of World Liberty. They've been loading the boat up for a while. And one thing that I think is interesting is that you've had very little conversation from the Trump kids. Now, they haven't said anything. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's because nothing's going to happen. Or if you look at the price action, maybe it means something's going to happen and they've gone radio silent. I'm kind of leaning towards, wow, they're radio silent, while the American-made cryptos are vertical. Now, of course, this brings me to if there's some kind of dip in the middle of the month. Let's say they rip this thing for 3 to 4 days, and then there's a nasty dip, okay? And this is how things work, right? Everyone misses it. They FOMO at the top, and then it gets dropped. If that happens, okay, because there are day trading roadmaps, in Patreon, in the VIP group, and in Platinum, listen, if they drop this thing, right, after rallying it for a week, there are going to be opportunities. There were opportunities on Friday. All this stuff went up and retail sold. All the bag holders. I understand people are upset. They want out. I get it. 6 months of this, being live on TV every day for 6 months. Seriously, people, not easy. People sold the first uptick and you had time to get in. Right? You still have time to get in. The market's sitting around going, yeah, okay, it's a rally. I don't know. Gradually, then suddenly, Bitcoin Cassandra is here. What's going on? People running late to class. Definitely want to welcome everybody who's here. I can't read off all the names like the live stream or people click off. Now, one of the things I'd love for you to do is, tell me what cryptos you want me to chart on the regular market update, right? On the regular market update. And there's a good note to make. I got breaking news here from the Eagle King. It's not just about Bitcoin anymore. Altcoins are drawing corporate attention. So follow me here. This is important. If you're a CEO or you're a treasurer and you walk into somebody's office with Bitcoin at 120, particularly since it was at 77 3 months ago, and go, I think we should buy Bitcoin. They're going to kind of look at you like, wow, really stupid? Wow, you coming to us with this now? No. Okay, no. All right, and Bitcoin goes to 126, right? And then the FOMO starts in altcoins. The corporate treasurers are going to go, okay, well, maybe there are other forms of money. Maybe we got to get these American-made cryptos on our books so that if we have to pay for stuff, we don't have to pay capital gains tax, which, is going to create more FOMO. You could have institutions, treasurers coming in and buying this stuff because someone's buying it now. It's hedge funds, it's retail. Hedge funds, retail's not buying Stellar. Retail's in the trenches looking for the next meme play. Meanwhile, the meme play was the boomer coins. Right? What rallies off the bottom, what no one hates, what no one likes, what no one's paying attention to. Everyone's like, oh, Stellar. Yeah, okay. If you had said buy Stellar 2 weeks ago, people would have paid for their tab at the bar and absolutely left. Okay? All right, people. You got to keep everybody super in tune to what's going on this week. Do not fade the altcoin move. Do not fade the altcoin move. I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody who was here. Make sure you hit the like button, the notification button. If you like these short streams, you got to have notifications on in order to get in fast. I'm your host, Bill Noble. We will see you next time.